Most people think they're prepared. A few cans in the pantry, a bag of rice somewhere in the back of a cabinet maybe, some extra water bottles in the garage from the last time a storm made the news. And August is exactly when that false sense of readiness gets tested, because this is the month hurricane season actually peaks along the coast. Heat waves strain the power grid hardest, and grocery supply chains quietly tighten before autumn restocking catches up. If something happens in the next few weeks, most people would open the pantry and discover the same thing they always discover too late. It's not that there's no food in the house. It's that the right food was never there to begin with. These are 7 specific groceries worth stocking before this month is out, each one chosen for a concrete reason: shelf life, nutritional role, or genuine usability when the power and the water both become unreliable at the same time. Stay through to the end, because the final item isn't just the cheapest food on this list per calorie. It's the one every other item on here is actually built around. Number 7, salt. Nothing on this list costs less, and almost nothing does more. A large container runs somewhere between $1 and $2, and kept dry and sealed, it does not go bad, effectively ever. That combination, near zero cost and indefinite shelf life, makes it the single most efficient purchase on this entire list by a wide margin. But its real value has almost nothing to do with flavor. Salt is an essential electrolyte, directly involved in nerve signaling, muscle contraction and heart rhythm, and during physical work in August heat specifically, sodium loss through sweat happens fast. Left unreplaced, that loss escalates from fatigue and cramping into something more serious. There's a second, older function too. Long before refrigeration existed, salt was the primary way entire civilizations extended the usable life of meat and vegetables. If a freezer goes down during a multi-day outage, the ability to salt what's thawing can be the difference between losing it outright and buying several more usable days. Worth keeping 2 kinds on hand: iodized table salt for everyday nutrition, since iodine is genuinely hard to source elsewhere in a simplified diet, and plain kosher or sea salt for any actual preserving, since iodine can affect the color and taste of cured food over time. Both together cost under $5, and salt has a habit of vanishing off shelves alongside water and batteries the moment a storm forecast appears. Not because it becomes scarce, but because everyone reaches for it at once. Number 6, canned beans. When people picture emergency protein, the first instinct is almost always meat, and canned meat genuinely belongs on a list like this. But the protein source that shows up most consistently across serious long-term food supplies isn't meat at all. It's beans. Canned black beans, kidney beans, pinto beans, chickpeas, already cooked, ready in seconds, no soaking, no lengthy boiling, and cheaper per gram of protein than nearly anything else on a grocery shelf. A single can runs somewhere around $1. Beyond protein, beans deliver real fiber, iron, potassium, and folate, exactly the nutrients that get squeezed out when a diet narrows down to the same few staples. The practical edge over dried beans is significant. Dried beans demand hours of soaking and sustained heat, both of which assume water and fuel are abundant, which is precisely the assumption that stops holding up during an actual disruption. Canned beans skip all of that. Open the can, and even the liquid inside, which most people pour straight down the drain, can go directly into a soup or a stew instead of being wasted. One storage note worth remembering: keep cans up off a concrete floor. Moisture collects on concrete over time and quietly accelerates rust at the base of the can. Number 5, canned meat. 12 hours into a power outage, the refrigerator has been slowly warming the entire time, and everything fresh or frozen inside has already crossed from being food into being a problem. In the cabinet, meanwhile, sit several cans completely untouched by any of it. That independence from refrigeration is the entire case for canned meat. Not that it's the most exciting protein available, but that it's the one protein source that stays fully usable no matter what else in the kitchen has failed. Canned tuna, salmon, chicken, and shelf-stable meats like Spam all deliver complete protein, meaning every essential amino acid the body needs and can't produce on its own, which supports muscle maintenance and genuine fullness in a way plant protein alone doesn't quite match. Paired with rice or beans, one can instantly turn a carbohydrate-only meal into something nutritionally complete. Most canned meat runs $2 to $6 a can and holds good quality for 3 to 5 years in cool, dry storage. One thing worth watching, most canned meat runs high in sodium and when clean water is simultaneously limited. That's exactly the wrong moment for higher water demands, so it's worth balancing higher sodium cans against lower sodium options rather than stocking only one type. Number 4. Olive oil. Fat is almost always the last thing anyone thinks to stockpile, if it gets considered at all, behind water, protein and carbohydrates, and that ordering quietly creates a real gap. Vitamins A, D, E and K are fat-soluble, meaning the body can only actually absorb and use them when real dietary fat is present in the same meal. A pantry stacked with canned vegetables, beans and grains, but genuinely short on fat, is delivering only a fraction of the nutrition the label suggests. Olive oil closes that gap without refrigeration or special handling. And it's also the most calorically dense thing you can store, roughly 9 calories per gram, more than double what carbohydrates or protein provide gram for gram, which matters directly when physical demands go up and food availability goes down. A single tablespoon stirred into rice or beans adds meaningful calories without adding bulk or cooking time, and outside the kitchen it doubles as a mechanical lubricant. A basic skin moisturizer, and historically as lamp fuel when electric lighting fails entirely. A large bottle of extra virgin olive oil runs roughly $10 to $20 and holds peak quality for 18 to 24 months. Degrading mainly from light, heat and air, so a dark glass bottle, sealed tightly and kept out of direct sun, is really the entire storage protocol. Number 3. Pasta. Every time a serious storm is forecast to hit a populated stretch of the country, the same sequence plays out almost exactly the same way. Bread empties first, then water, then canned goods, and somewhere in the middle of that rush, the pasta shelves start thinning too. Not because pasta is normally scarce, but because it's one of the first things people instinctively reach for once grocery shopping turns into feeding a household out of the pantry. That instinct holds up. Dry pasta combines low cost, a genuinely long shelf life, and preparation that comes down to boiling water and a few minutes of heat, nothing more. Paired with canned tomatoes, beans, canned meat, or just olive oil and salt, the same box of pasta produces a different meal every time, which matters more than people expect once appetite fatigue sets in. The well-documented drop in appetite that comes from eating the same rotation of foods for days in a row. Pasta also cooks faster than most whole grains, and when fuel needs to be conserved, the gap between 8 minutes of heat and 45 minutes is a real operational difference, not a minor convenience. A pound of semolina pasta runs about $1 or $2, and properly repackaged into sealed bags with oxygen absorbers rather than left in its original paper box. It holds quality for 10 to 15 years instead of just a couple. Number 2, water. The single most repeated line in emergency preparedness is that people can survive weeks without food, but only days without clean water. And most people have heard that without ever actually working through what it demands in practice. Water isn't only for drinking, it's needed to cook rice, boil pasta, reconstitute anything dried, and maintain basic hygiene, and without it, a pantry worth hundreds of dollars becomes largely unusable. The food is physically there, but nothing can actually be prepared with it. The general guidance is at least 1 gallon per person per day for drinking and cooking alone, and that number climbs once hygiene and full meal prep are factored in, meaning a family of 4 stocking even a 2-week baseline is looking at more than 50 gallons, which does not happen by accident. Food-grade high-density polyethylene containers, marked HDPE, hold up far better for long-term storage than reused single-use bottles, which were never engineered to be reused for months at a time. And the pattern shows up every single hurricane season without fail. Bottled water disappears from shelves within hours of a serious forecast. Not because of any real supply shortage, but because concentrated local demand outpaces what a store can restock fast enough. Water is the one item on this list that makes every other item on this list actually usable, which is exactly why it belongs this close to the top. And now, number 1, not because it has the most complex nutritional profile, but because look at emergency food systems maintained by relief organizations and long-term preparedness communities anywhere in the world. And this is the one ingredient that shows up at the foundation of nearly all of them without exception. Number 1, white rice. Not for flavor, and not because it's the single most nutritionally complete food available, but because nothing else commonly sold delivers this much caloric yield, this longer shelf life, and this much pairing versatility at this price, all at once. A 50-pound bag currently runs somewhere around $20 to $35, and portioned into individual meals, that single bag provides tens of thousands of calories. Enough to carry a family of 4 through a genuinely extended period of reduced food access, often working out to somewhere between 50 cents and $1 a day in caloric value. Nothing else on a standard grocery shelf gets close to that ratio. Rice is also the item every other item on this list connects to directly. It extends canned beans into a complete meal. It absorbs the flavor of anything cooked with it, and it works alongside olive oil, canned meat, or simply salt when almost nothing else is left in the pantry. Sealed in oxygen-absorbed bags inside food-grade buckets and stored somewhere consistently cool and dry, white rice holds its quality for 25 to 30 years. A storage window documented by long-term food storage researchers, not an optimistic guess. One distinction matters here specifically. Brown rice retains its bran layer, and the natural oils in that layer turn rancid within 6 to 12 months, even under good conditions. While white rice, with the bran milled away, is far more chemically stable over the long term, which makes it the only practical choice for genuine multi-year storage. None of this requires a dramatic lifestyle change, a wholesale membership, or specialized equipment beyond a few sealed bags and containers, most of which cost very little per item. Pick up 2 of these this week, 2 more next week, and by the time August actually ends, there's a real stockpile sitting quietly in the pantry instead of a vague intention to deal with it eventually. Salt, canned beans, canned meat, olive oil, pasta, water and rice, 7 items, most of them already sitting on a shelf you walk past regularly. The difference is simply picking them up before the forecast forces everyone else to try at the same time. Which one of these 7 are you missing right now? Tell me in the comments.